Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Around the Community by Card Talk, a monthly podcast where we spend a little bit of time traveling around the community and seeing what there is for all of you folks to partake in. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, as always, just along for the ride.
And today we are going to wrap up some things that we had from our own podcast, our own vlog and YouTube channel. And then we're going to talk about some of the other stuff that has gone on in the community for the month of February. So you can look back if anything interests you. We will put all the show notes in the links in the description below. And for those who are interested, this is also our Patreon show. If you are interested in becoming a Patreon, please support us by visiting patreon.com/cardtalk2018. And you can donate anywhere from a penny all the way up to $1 million. So then there's levels, and that allows you to become eligible for contests and giveaways and things that we do on this show. And Grant probably will agree with this, maybe not, but the way that we run our normal Card Talk episode, it's just not conducive to really giving Card Talk shout-outs and Patreon shout-outs. And also I think, that the community is big enough now and kind of spread out all over the place that a show like this can really help out people looking for news and information about the community.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, David. I mean, we could always stick the Patreons at the end, but it would just be going through a list that could add from anywhere from a minute onto the video to, if we get enough, to 10 minutes to the video. Right. It's just not conducive to just doing it every show.
Right.
So yes, have it breaking down and just doing it all in one episode at the end of the month where we'll recap on the previous month. Sounds like a great plan.
Right, and so this is our second show. We did one for Around the Community for January, and so now this is our Around the Community for February. So it's kind of exciting. I'm surprised you haven't said anything about the name yet.
I was wondering when you were going to get that, David.
Go ahead, Grant. What do you want to say about the name?
Right, Around the Community is such a long title, so if anybody can find a better title or something that's more catchy, please drop us an email or message us on Facebook or put a name in the comments below. Just something to get our attention and that we'll consider to be the new name.
Yeah, and but until then, Grant, you're stuck with Around the Community, so we'll see. Maybe we should have it as a little contest. If you like me, don't email. If you like Grant, email. There you go. We'll see who wins see how many more people don't email than do email. I bet you that I'm more popular.
That's quite probable because You're the face of it and I'm just along for the ride.
Well, yeah. But let's move on and let's talk. So we just finished up Silvan February, which was, I tried to put it out in as many of the forums as possible: Facebook, Discord, Reddit, on our YouTube channel, of course, on our own Facebook page. So it was all over the place. And by now my fingers are sick and tired of typing or texting the phrase Silvan February. But I think it was a rousing success. All positive feedback. I had a lot of people talking to me about that it just was cool to have a card every day or an episode every day that followed a theme along the way, that there was that you kind of always had something to look forward to. I will say one thing, and then I'll let you talk a little bit about your take on Silvan February, but it was it was neat. There was actually a couple of people who were like, I'm not going to watch any of it, and then I'm going to wait for March to hit, and then I'm going to binge watch the whole thing. And so for those people who don't know, Card Talk, we have a flagship YouTube channel, and then we also have an audio podcast, so which is the extended version, but you can't see anything, obviously, because it's audio. But so if you want to see what the cards are that we're talking about and things like that, that's why we do the video. So, Grant, what was your take on Silvan February?
Well, it was a lot to put out in because we decided to do this we decided to do it in the November.
November, right?
And we had the entire of December to get it all done. And I think it was the last week before Christmas we finally put the last episode
right
down, and it was like, this is going to be amazing once it's edited and put out. Obviously, David has control over the editing, so I feel sorry for him that he made himself so much work because he was like, you know what, I'm going to do it for February. We're going to get an episode out a day. And it's like, okay, right. You know how much work you're putting yourself onto you for that.
17 player cards and at least 6 playthroughs. So, yeah. I mean, that's... I think that there was a bonus on the last day. I think that we tried to do 2, maybe 3 playthroughs. I forget exactly what it is, but
yeah, I think it was about that.
So
because I was getting repeatedly tired. I know that much, but it was like, right, I'm going to go after this game. Okay, right. Well, do you fancy staying for another one? Right. It's like, yeah, okay,
right. So, but it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun discussing the Silvan trait.
Yeah,
and the Silvan card, because there's not a lot. Some of them you don't really see outside of that, and it was good to get perspective on those cards.
Right.
Because obviously we didn't talk about all the cards that work with Silvan. We just talked about the ones that you were running in your deck.
Right, but and even some of those we didn't talk. Like we didn't talk about Legolas, we didn't talk about Haldir, because those are a lot more general use cards too.
Yeah, and then we didn't. Then obviously you got cards like Island Amid Perils and Tree People. Well, if you're not running the deck that's going to utilize the Silvan trait, there's no point in putting them in.
Right.
So again, it's good to get a variety of cards on, which, yes, our show would have covered in time, but doing it this way, it actually had some drive to do, because some of them were only like 5-minute episodes, because you can't talk about a card that has very little outside of a set sphere for so long.
Right, and it's like the and I said this in the episodes, is like it's like Boots from Erebor. You know, we can talk about it within the deck, but talking about it outside of a Hobbit or a Dwarf deck, it just doesn't make any sense. So,
well, exactly.
You know what we should do, Grant? Here, this is me thinking on the fly. Is we should have people either comment or send emails to cardtalk2018@gmail.com about what they would want to see for the next monthly drive that we do. And Grant and I, I've told Grant, I'm not even thinking about doing another episode a month for at least a good 3 or 4 months. But for the next one, we should ask, if you have any ideas or if there's something you particularly want to see, leave a comment, let us know, and we'll take that into consideration.
We'll do our best to, if we'll get enough, we'll do our best to facilitate what you want to see.
Yeah, right. One of the neat things about Silvan February is that we had the community, some of the community creators, the people who have blogs and things like that, they kind of got on board. So Joseph Forrester, he's the admin, one of the admins on the Facebook group, but he also has his own blog, and he has LOTR deck testing. Again, all the links will be below, but he did a deck test on the Slippery Sylvans, and so he had fun with it. He hadn't run Sylvans in a long time, so he had fun with it. And then our newfound friend Dan from Hall of Beorn, people know him as Beorn. He's Beorn on the Discord server, but his first name is Dan. He took out his old Sylvan deck, and I think the deck title is Whispers in the Trees, and he made alt art for all his Sylvan decks. So I was really pleasantly surprised that we got people talking about Sylvans again within the community. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and I've got to admit, some of that art was amazing. I mean, I've got on OCTGN, I've got the subscriber, so I literally just put in the images I've wanted, and I've got to admit, I've taken some of Hall of Beorn's images and actually imposed them over the original card because some of them just look amazing.
Right. I mean, he's a great guy. Actually, one of the things upcoming for us in March, and this show isn't all about us, but one of the things that we have coming up is we have a in-depth interview. I think the raw footage is an hour and 20 minutes with Dan, the Hall of Beorn guy. So that's going to be an amazing interview. I just looked at it for the first time again to start editing it down, and it was a lot of fun. He's a knowledgeable dude, and he really loves Beorn the bear.
Yeah, I bet he could give me a run for me money on me.
Yeah. Well, you're big like a bear. He's just knowledgeable about everything to do with that bear.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that happened because of the Slippery Sylvan deck is this was just me deciding to do it. Is I was going to do what I call a one deck run. I guess like C-Stan did a one deck run with what I call a one deck run with his Vilya deck with Elrond and did some stuff. I'm going to try this with just the regular normal mode scenarios. I think he did with nightmare scenarios. And I'm going to see if I can play each scenario with the Slippery Sylvans. Now, the difference is I'm going to record each of the episodes that I can do it. Now, I did a bunch for Silvan February, so the amount, the time that it's going to take is going to be forever. But still, I'm going to see if I can beat every scenario with the Slippery Sylvan deck. And so far, I've had really good luck. Some of them that I haven't recorded that are hard, I beat into Athelion, which is kind of a traditional hard one. I've beaten, what are some other ones? Escape from Dol Guldur, and I've beaten the whole Herodrum cycle, and I didn't record any of those. I was just playtesting my deck. So, anyways, I'm excited to record them and put them in so that you can do that. I will say, I'm going to say one more thing. I don't mean to cut you off, Grant, but the latest one that I did actually record a playthrough of the Ghost of Framsburg. I can tell you that the deck beat it, but I can also tell you that the Slippery Sylvans deck is not equipped to beat the Ghost of Framsburg efficiently. I think that the raw video footage of that is about 2 hours and 40 minutes it took me to beat that scenario. I still beat it, but it was a slog.
Yeah, I was just going to say, doing the one deck run, it's a lot of work to put in that both me and David have put a lot of time into doing Silvan February and getting on with the playthroughs. Obviously, it's more David's time than it is mine, but it's just an awful lot of that we've committed to do this, and I just want to say thanks, David, for giving us the opportunity to do this with you.
That's what I say about Silvan February. I like doing it. I like doing what I'm doing, so that's why.
Well, we're both like what we're doing, but it's the case of it is a lot of time and commitment that we put into this.
Yeah.
Not many people know how much time it goes into other content creators.
Yeah, other creators get it. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we're two people." You know, a lot of Cardboard of the Rings has 6. You hear the 3 people, but they have 6 people behind the scenes, or 3 other people behind the scenes, and then the Grey Company is 4. And I mean, you're looking at what we got here, just the 2 of us. Just the 2 of us.
We
can make it if we try. Just the 2 of us. You and I. Okay. Again, I feel like we just need to move on here. So we have 2 contests that we need to wrap up. One is that we were pushing pretty hard for. We were getting Patreons to give away this. This is an unopened Ghost of Framsburg pack that I got from my friendly local game store. And for those people who don't know, I have to give a shout out to my friend Scott Hughes, who is also in the Facebook group. Scott Hughes, he's the owner of Highlander Games, and that's in Boonton, New Jersey. he has been very nice to supply me with this, not for a discount, but he, when Lord of the Rings packs in his store, they sell like hotcakes. So he got me one and he got the show one. So I was happy to see that. And so thank you to Scott and Highlander Games and Comics for getting us the adventure pack. And so any new Patreon that we've had since we created the Patreon is eligible for winning. So we are going to draw live the name of the winner. So let's see if we're prepared for this. Grant, do you have all the Patreons listed in front of you?
I do.
Okay. And can you randomly select one of those Patreons? Should we do a drum roll?
Dominic.
Dominic Schloenleben.
Yeah, I'm not going to even try to pronounce that name.
Right. He's one of the organizers of the Lure of Middle Earth. Oh, that's great. Good job, Dominic. So I'll get in touch with Dominic. Dominic, you just got the Ghost of Framsburg. Okay. So again, if you are interested in becoming a patron of Card Talk, again, patreon.com/card talk 2018. And then the second the second contest that we wanted to do, or that we did, was an episode where we were going to have one of our listeners set us straight. We're pretty out there in terms of some of our opinions sometimes, and sometimes that's because we either haven't played the card that much, or maybe I was just feeling particularly rough. Yeah, right. Difficult that day. I don't know. And so we got submissions from listeners to see which episode that we would like to revisit. And it was we called it the Set Us Straight contest. So of all the submissions, we read all the submissions, and in this one you had to kind of explain why we were wrong or why you were right or whatever. And so the winner of this one is going to be Ted Bannock. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He wants us to revisit Gandalf. So Hero Gandalf was his. And so I'm going to reach out to Cool Doggy 108, and that episode will hopefully get in the queue pretty soon. So there's winners of 2 contests, and that's, again, why we're doing these episodes around the community stuff. So we're excited to do that. I always love, I don't know about you, Grant, but I always love having guests on the show because it just provides an extra perspective on these cards that are just so awesome.
Yeah, I like it, the fact that we're going back to revisit cards that we've already done, so that we've talked about our opinion. Now we get to talk about theirs. Yeah. So
right, and that's all it is just intention or opinions. So that's what makes it great. So when I say that I absolutely love Boots from Erebor, that's just my opinion. You don't have to love me, but it's always good to hear what other people have to say. But let's get around the community here. Let's stop talking about what we're doing, and let's stop giving away our stuff. Let's talk about what the community is doing. And so the first thing that I wanted to point out was that there's a new podcast by some veteran players out there. So Mr. Underhill, who has his YouTube channel, and he does playthroughs, and he's been working with Joseph on the thematic campaign. They put out a new podcast called Three is Company. Now, unlike Card Talk, Three is Company is a long-form podcast. The first episode was 2 hours and 47 minutes, where the first couple hours they spent going into the cards from the Wilds of Rovanian box set. Kind of, if you're a Mr. Underhill follower, it's kind of like what he did when he would open up the box and talk about all the cards, except now there's 3 people talking about them. And then for the last hour, they talked about the Rohan trait. And I especially like that because Joseph, I'm sure they all worked together on it, but Joseph was kind of the ringleader of that segment where he kind of did an analysis of the different types of decks that you can have out there for Rohan decks, and it was very enlightening. So the whole podcast was great. If you're driving 3 hours in the car, or if you're flying from New York to San Francisco and you need something to do, feel free to listen to their new podcast. It's well worth the 3 hours if you have that time, and it's easily split upable. It's not like somebody's reading something and you have to remember what somebody read. You know, you can stop it after they finish a card or something like that, and then come pick it up next time. So, I don't know, did you get a chance to listen to that podcast at all, or what?
I listened to some of it. I didn't listen to it all.
You mean you didn't have 3 hours to kill to listen to it?
Exactly. Like I say, I listened to a bit of it while I was meant to be working. Hopefully my boss isn't listening.
Right. That's the way I feel anytime I'm recording from my school. Is I'm like, I hope the superintendent doesn't walk in.
But no,
right.
Generally, I like what Mr. Underhill does and Joseph does.
Yeah.
They always bring out excellent content.
And they have a third guy named Liam. And I don't think that Liam is necessarily a prolific creator. I think he's on the Facebook group, but I don't think that he I actually asked Joseph about him, and he was like, yeah, Liam's kind of quiet all around. You know, he does the stuff, but, you know, he doesn't necessarily post a ton in the Facebook group and stuff like that.
Yeah. But no, Three's Company, definitely want to watch if you've got the time there.
You know where it gets its name from? Oh, quick trivia question. Go ahead, Grant.
It's from the chapter in The Fellowship of the Ring.
The Fellowship of the Ring. I know. I'm just rereading the book. I'm actually almost done with the Fellowship of the Ring book.
Wait, you haven't finished that yet, mate?
No. There was a Silvan February event that I had to give up any of my free time for. So, yeah, just to let you know.
Oh, I didn't know that, mate.
Right. Did you get a chance to listen to Cardboard of the Rings?
I did not.
Okay, so Cardboard of the Rings just requires a little bit of backstory. So in their January episode, they had the Emerys, where they had winners all over, and I talked about this in the last episode. And so the winner of Card Designer of the Year was Jag 2K2's daughter Aubrey, who made him a custom scenario for Christmas, and so she beat out Caleb. And so during the episode this month, and they do episodes every 3 weeks, so there's going to be months where we have 2 episodes to talk about, but their episode at the beginning of February, they had Aubrey on the show, and they talked to her for half an hour about how awesome her scenario is. So I think that was wild. That was well worth tuning in for. And then they did their usual great analysis of some cards and some other stuff. But I think that Aubrey on the show was great. And actually, and Grant, this may be the first time I'm telling you this too, but we're in negotiations getting her on the show. So I think that,
cool.
But you know, it's card talk. It's not, you know, just talk. So we're going to get one of her cards and talk about one of her cards, like Thorny Finger or what is it, Catapult Rocket Man or something like that. And we'll talk about one of her cards.
Oh, you need to give us the card image so I can actually see what it does.
Right. Well, and if you're in the Discord server, we might as well talk a little bit about Discord. So if you're in the Discord server, there is there's a small contingency of people that are willing to put it on. What's the way to make cards on Eon or?
Yeah, there's an Eon.
Shadow Eon or whatever it is. So somebody volunteered to put the cards onto Eon and, you know, make the deck and then put it onto Chris Stanford, who's all over the place, but he's also the administrator of RingsDB. He was going to put it on his site, you know, like, so people are willing to do it all. So it's good to see. So I would not be surprised if soon enough we had Aubrey's special quest. So if you have a chance, go back. If you don't have the full hour and a half to listen to Cardboard of the Rings, at least listen to the first half hour, and it's well worth the time because a 10-year-old talking about their creation, it's just it was great. It was good podcasting. I guess we could talk a little bit about as we go around the community a little bit more. One of the things that's not Lord of the Rings LCG related, but something that I wanted to bring up was the Men of the West YouTube channel. This is my latest hotness with knowing about the lore of Middle-earth. That Men of the West YouTube channel, they have about a 10 or 15 minute video, and it's been around forever, and it's well liked and well subscribed. It's, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, hundreds of millions of views, or whatever it is. And but it'll be like epic history of Aragorn, and it'll spend 10 or 15 minutes, and it'll go through like all the history of Aragorn, or the epic history of the Nazgul, and it'll talk about the Nazgul, or it'll talk about the Shire. And so if you need something to kind of get your feet wet with lore of Middle-earth, and you don't necessarily want to read the Silmarillion, I highly recommend the Men of the West YouTube channel.
Well, now that you say that, I've been delving into more of the lore to see if I've missed bits here and there, and I've come across Geek Zone.
Okay.
And I posted a video in the Facebook.
Oh, I saw that. Was that the Beornings thing?
No, that was the Water in the Water.
Oh, okay.
Where it actually delves into the history of the Watcher, where it could have come from, how it got to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I saw something like that. I think that was you. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've done a load. They've got the Barrow Wights explained.
Mm-hmm.
The Trolls of Middle-earth, the lore about the Trolls. There's 50 different videos, maybe more.
Right.
All dedicated to different ones of Lord of the Rings. There is one on Beorn, which I think I commented fascinating when someone was talking about Beorn, and I just put that up onto the group or something.
Right.
I can't remember, but it goes into the real history of Middle-earth.
Right. And that's what I like about those videos that, like, we're playing all these guys. And yeah, I mean, I like to read, so I'll read the books, but some people don't have time or don't want to read. And a little 10-minute packet about the history of who Beorn was and the Beornings, or, who Aragorn was. And, like, it gives such a rich background of what's going on, whether it's the channel you're talking about or the channel that I'm talking about. Like, that's what I love about it. Gives me, like, extra motivation to want to play the game. I'm like, I'm taking my Aragorn with, with this sort of stuff, And it's
I just watched one today, which I was actually going to save for when we talked about the Radagast hero card. I was actually watching the Geek Zone discuss Radagast and where he came from and what happened to him, and it was like, that's amazing.
It's a whole new world.
Well, it is in Middle-earth.
A new fantastic point of view. No one to let 'em know or where to go. Sorry, that's in honor of Disney releasing Aladdin in live action. Here,
yeah,
I have 2 girls at home, so I have to know all this stuff. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Geek Retreat also, Geek Zone also do videos on other fantasy-based things. They've got some stuff on Game of Thrones and what have you, but there's like 60-odd videos dedicated to Lord of the Rings. And if you're after that, just snippets of information that are brilliant and factual and found in the books, as well as his own personal opinions, definitely check it out.
Right.
The link will be in the description below.
Right. Yeah, so I think that anytime you can get into the lore of Middle-earth is phenomenal. Now, quickly, I just wanted to go around to the 3 kind of major communities. Of course, there's social media, but it's hard, like Twitter doesn't lend itself necessarily to having a community of people because of the way Twitter's set up, and same with Instagram and things like that. There are people on Instagram that do LOTR LCG stuff. But the 3 major ones, there's the Facebook group, which has over 2,400 subscribers now. So that's really good, Joseph, for what he did. And then the Cardboard of the Rings Discord server. I don't know how many people are on there, but there. And last time we were talking, last episode, I was like, there's just something different about Facebook versus Discord. And I guess what I will say is that Facebook has distinct conversations because you post something, you get a bunch of answers, and then you're done. Discord, the way Discord is set up, it's kind of an ongoing running conversation that just keeps going and going. And so that conversation is always there. I mean, yes, some things, they start anew and then you have new conversation, but typically it's just kind of an ongoing chat. And that's what I was trying to put in there. But there's a lot of people on there, and I highly recommend joining that. Getting an invite, go to Cardboard of the Rings webpage, and then I think it's cotr.me or something, Discord/cotr.me or something like that. Anyways, but again, I'll put the link there. And then the Reddit community, I always feel like Reddit kind of gets the shaft in the community. Maybe it's just because I just joined it, but I mean, there's almost 3,300 people in that Reddit community, and it's pretty active. And again, it's more like Facebook, where somebody posts something and you get a bunch of answers and responses, but it's pretty active. There's stuff going on there almost every day. So, you can't really argue with those communities.
I wouldn't want to argue with anybody in the community.
Right. Right. Well, I'll argue with you, but so far.
That's fine, man.
You're right more than I am, but that's just because I'm a bullheaded, obstinate Irishman, I guess. Of Irish descent, I should say.
I was going to say, are you actually Irish, or are you just of Irish descent?
Right. Well, my dad was 100% Irish, born on St. Patrick's Day. Both his parents were from Ireland, and he was born on St. Patty's Day. In the United States, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. We celebrate the patron saint of Ireland and all those things.
Yeah.
So anyways,
okay, so
let's move on. Let's talk about some of the other media that we have. So blogs and YouTube channels and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been kind of quiet. Maybe Silvan February distracted so many people from doing stuff. We didn't have a Gray Company podcast this month. There was a couple of deck tests. One of them was the Slippery Silver. Another one was a different deck that Joseph did. But our buddy Samuel Shreeve, he's putting out the videos and the playthroughs, huh? He's been doing them solo and with his buddy Icthalion, right? What's going on with him?
Right. Well, me and Samuel we talk quite regular. We'll have a few games, and he's decided to do a campaign run, starting right back at A Shadow of the Past and working through with Icthalion. So he's been.
Do we know who Icthalion is?
He's on the Discord server.
As Icthalion, though.
Yes.
For the people who don't know, Samuel, who did one of our shows, one of our first guest hosts, his username is Onidsen. Onidsen. So Onidsen. And so that's his YouTube channel and things like that. So when we talk about Samuel, that's how I know him. But then I was like, Onidsen, who's this guy? And then I realized. And so we don't have a name for Icthalion. So
I don't know Icthalion. But Sam's also been doing his own experimental deck testing, where he puts a couple of decks together and he runs them. So he's pumping out the videos. He's doing his blog. He's getting the content out there.
Yeah.
A bit like what we did with Silvan February. He's not out quite as much as one a day.
But it seems like it. My gosh, every time I went into the Discord server to publish our thing, it's like there was Samuel putting a thing that he put out. He's updated his blog and he's put out 3 or 4 videos this month. Like, he's been doing a lot of good stuff.
He has, and I've got to admit, most of his stuff is spot on.
He's super thoughtful about what he does. So I'm known to be a little more cavalier, and I'm maybe more thoughtful behind the scenes. He's very thoughtful in everything that he does. So I highly recommend you subscribing to his YouTube and checking out what he does. If you're looking for things that are, like ideas or how to play certain things or how to play the quests,
and if you're looking on how to build it. If you're looking on how to build a deck, check out how some of the experimental deck builds blogs that Sam's put out. He goes through stage by stage of his thought process for which cards he uses. It might help you in building your own decks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he's willing to try just about anything. So, you know.
I kind of asked him to put a Dunedain deck together to see if he could get one to work, because obviously Dunedans are strong in the late game, but early game it's expensive and hard to play with.
Yeah.
So he's actually done a fairly decent job of putting 2 Dunedain decks together and ran them. The Dunedain Scions that he did, you'll find them on his YouTube.
The Scions of the North or whatever, right? Wasn't that what it was called? Yeah.
Something like that. But he's done a good job, and thank you again, Sam, for accepting that challenge. On another note, the LOTR Deck Tech has also been putting out videos quite frequently over the past 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He's had it's like a video week he's put out. He did a leisurely stroll along the Anduin, which is journey up the Anduin. He tried to defend Hogar's Hill, and then he's built
Hrogar's Hill. That's Fire in the Night, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. This guy is a man after my own heart. I love him because he does live playthroughs.
Yeah, and then he's also done 2 decks with the new version of Dean that just came out in the Ghost of Framsburg.
Right. I wanted to put together a dwarf mining deck because the Ghost of Framsburg was just released, right? Hey, congratulations to Dominic, who became Patreon and won the Ghost of Framsburg. But also, right, they just announced also the last adventure pack that I guess we alluded to with the Radagast hero in it. So
yeah,
it's the Fate of the Wilderland. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I've got to admit the spoiled card look amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, if you want to check out some of the deck tech stuff, you'll find them as LOTR Deck Tech. The link will obviously be in the description. But enjoy some live action card play.
Right. And then maybe just wrap this up with some written blogs. I mean, we don't have to beat a dead horse here, but so Vision of the Palantir is always prolific. You want to go there. You want every month at least visit there because they have a monthly. Dan is the guest host who will be on the show. His episode's going to come out on Monday. But you always visit Vision of the Palantir to participate in the monthly what is it called, the quiz or the poll, so that you can do that.
Yeah, it's a poll.
Yeah,
for Vision of the Palantir, and he's brought out quite a few this month. Because I went on at the beginning of the month and it was he just discussed the Woodsman trait. Then when I went back, he discussed Valor and the Low Sphere core set.
Dan, if you're listening, I'm hoping that you still do another April Fool's joke. Last year, he did an April Fool's joke and released an episode or a trait on April Fool's Day, and it was the Archer trait. And so, for anybody who's following along at home, there's only 2 cards that are Archer cards, and they're both from the core set.
In the last 24 hours, he's released the Noble, where he covers the Noble trait. I've just come back onto Vision of the Palantir to put me vote in because I didn't actually do the vote this month, but I've just come on and there it is, top of the list, Noble.
The guy he's
insane.
He's insane with the amount of content he puts out. It's almost like he's going to put out a video episode every day in the month of February. Wait, that's not him. And then the Warden of Arnor has been continually doing good stuff, and we're in contact with him to try to bring him on our show. And so he's doing his stuff, and then Unfinished Trails. I don't know what impressed you with some of the blogs, some of those other blogs.
Well, the Unfinished Trails was something new. Obviously, it was discussed. Unfinished Trails discussed Thranduil and some of the functions around him, along with a few other bits and pieces. But it was a blog that I hadn't heard of before, so I went in and had a look. And that blog caught my eye. Obviously, he's the Warden of Arnor. He's given his thoughts about Palantir Fields from the Line Unbroken, where he actually plays through Palantir Fields. So he's about to wrap up his campaign whilst he does everything else on top. Right. Because if you don't know, the Line Unbroken is basically going through progression style from beginning to end. So whilst he's doing the Palantir Fields, he'll finish off that scenario of quests. But then if, for example, you have some other quests that come before the next box, you'll do them in full-on progression series. So you won't use cards from further in front. You'll just work with what he's got.
Yeah, typical progression uses cards that have only been released up to the release date of that box. So you're not using Fire in the Night cards or any, the most recent cards.
Yeah, and he does a brilliant job with them.
Right, and he's English, right? Like he's from England. England? I don't know. I don't know how. I have to be careful.
He's from down south.
Okay.
But
we'll forgive him, right?
So north next to me.
So we're hoping to get him on the show so we can talk about what he does and stuff like that.
We're in discussions with getting him on the show.
Right. Actually, we should put this out there. I've been talking to Caleb, and Caleb wants to come back on the show too sometime. So expect in the next 6 months that Caleb will be on the show.
Well, we can't say that because he might not be able to.
Yeah, so no, but he's going to be on the show. I'm going to make him come on the show. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, whenever we have someone of such high praise coming onto the show, it's always going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So I just wonder which card he's going to pick this time.
Right.
Maybe we should get him to pick. Maybe we should get him to pick the least favorite card. Yeah,
or maybe we can have him come on with Aubrey and do a character analysis of her card. We can have two guests on the show. That would be wild.
That would be interesting.
It would be fun. I mean, Aubrey did win Designer of the Year over Caleb, so we'll see how bitter Caleb is about it. So is there anything else that you can think of that has happened around the community? I feel like it's been it's like feast and famine. Some people have been feasting, doing stuff, but it seems like other people are a little more quiet, which is fine. This is all a volunteer community, so we're I'm totally fine with it. But well, Grant, can you think of anything else that has happened around the community that we need to talk to all our viewers about?
Not off the top of my head. Not unless you've found something in the last 20 minutes.
Nope. If it's happened within the last 20 minutes, it's got to come on the next episode. So
see you next time.
Yeah. So I think that I speak for Grant, so thanks when I say thank you to all our patrons, and again, visit us on our flagship YouTube channel for all our back episodes of Card Talk. And again, if you hate the name around the community, make sure you contact us so that you can come up with an idea.
Please contact us.
Have a great night, everybody. And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed cardtalk2018.libsyn.org for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.